RMA delegations and new RMA fees, but this has come straight to council, but I'm still going to invite the chair of the Regulatory Performance Committee to introduce it.
Thank you. This has arisen out of some minor changes to the Resource Management Act, and John Higgins briefly brought me up to speed with that yesterday. It just centres around a couple of changes. One is permitted boundary applications, which essentially allows someone to build closer to a boundary provided they've got the adjoining neighbours' consent, and the other one is marginal or temporary non-compliances, which that one sort of went over my head a bit. John might have to elaborate there, but essentially this would normally have gone to the Regulatory Performance Committee, but because these measures come into force on the 18th of October, it's coming straight to council. So essentially we are now seeking to amend the Delegations authority to implement these two new aspects of the Resource Management Act and allow staff the delegated authority for recovery of fees which are set out in here associated with these applications. John may want to elaborate a little further, particularly perhaps on the marginal or temporary non-compliance side of it, but that's a brief overview of where we're tracking.
Thank you, David. John?
Yes, I might let Vivian kick off. It's a bit of an overview.
Okay, so there's sort of two parts to the report, and I do apologise for it not going to a committee first, but we had a bit of a conflicting advice from the Ministry for the Environment about time frames, but there's a bunch of changes that come into force on the 18th of October, and some of those involve the two sets of new fees, which is what David was referring to. So we do want to get the fees in place as soon as possible, as close to the 18th of October, and we do have to do a special consultative procedure because that's what the Act says. So that's the fees part of the report. The other part of the report relates to delegations, and that just picks up on the recent amendments to the Resource Management Act, which went through about 3 or 4 months ago. So we do need to change our delegations to reflect those legislative changes. And again, some of those will actually come into force today if you agree to the changes, and others will come into force on the 18th of October, and they're outlined in the attachment for you to see.
Any questions? Someone like to move it?
I'm happy to move the...
David, seconded by Sarah. Any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. That's carried.